retribution. Oh yeah, we want retribution. Yeah, we ran out of patience for your love with the cold hard hatred. I can feel the vibration, feet in the streets, it's a new sensation. I wanna break faces on the pavement. I wanna make greatness look complacent.
All right, I got it flipped over. We're going to start the other side. I'll do the big sides and save the front for last. It's just a shame to have to do this. Stenciling just turned out beautiful in this game. But we'll just have to repeat it, and it'll be better in the long run. So let's get moving. Let's get to stripping. All right, a little bit of backwards progress here. The old paint that was on this cabinet didn't play well with the new paint, and it started to show some blemishes. And I just couldn't send it out the door knowing that it's got an issue, because it's just going to get worse. So I had no choice but to strip it to bare wood. I got one side done. I got the front and the other side to do. I didn't show it because I was kind of disgusted having to do it, but I already went through all this with the back box. The back box is finished. So let me continue on and I'll update you soon. Okay, the two large sides are stripped. Still have the coin door panel. The back is good. That's all brand new back there, so I don't have to worry about that. It's just wherever the original paint was, and already the back, very back already stripped when I did that. So making some progress. We got this to go, and then we'll do the final sanding, getting it ready for primer, and then we'll start thinking about paint. We are totally stripped to bare wood, so ready to start smoothing the wood out, getting it ready for primer. So that's a big job done right there. So that's some good progress. Even though it's backwards, it's going to be better in the long run. So I'll keep at it and update you when I get something else done. All right, and here we have the cab sanded, bare wood, ready for the final sanding, then primer. So just another look. Like I say, the back is good. I already stripped that, so that just needs scuffed and repainted. That's in good shape. So back at it again today. I hope to have it in primer and possibly in black base paint today. So I'm going to get to work here and see how I do. Okay, and we're finally ready to get the bottom cab in primer. So let's get the primer shaken up and get ready to spray that now. While the primer is shaking up, let's get the bottom cab masked off and get it ready for spray. All right, we had a good day's work here. I got it in primer. So we just got to let this flash and we can sand it and get some paint on it. Get the base color, the black on it. So really happy to be this far along. It came out beautiful. So it's gonna look really good. It's gonna look even better than it did before. I now have it in primer and it's sanded, ready for paint. I just gotta wash it down. So I'm gonna wash it down. Let's get some color on it. All right, so we have the black base in the shaker. Let's do some shaking. And we have the base coat sprayed. First coat anyway. We got one more coat here just to make sure. That's a wrap for today. I have it inside drying, and tomorrow we'll start putting the red stencils on, and once that's cured, we'll do the yellow. And we're getting close on getting it repainted here. That was a setback, but I'm glad that, you know, it's going to turn out to be a nicer game than what it was. It was nice the first time, but with the paint not playing nice with the old paint, that's not a good thing. So I want to get this thing knocked out, and this is going to be the next one to go out the door, so I want to get it done. Okay, we have the stencil made for the red. We're getting ready to Spray the red now. Okay, ready to unmask the red. All right, there's one side done. We'll be moving on to the probably the coin door next. I now have the red sprayed on the bottom cab. So that's a nice plateau to reach today. And then tomorrow we'll start spraying the yellows. So we're getting back on track with this one. And now we're getting ready for the yellow stencil. So let's get the gun loaded. All right, we're going to pull the yellow stencil now. I just finished the bottom cab stencil, so we're back on track now. We had to go backwards to correct some stuff, and we're back on track here, so I can start putting the cab back together, get the playfield in it, and then move on to the electronic boards in the back box. Okay, working on the lock bar now. Got it refurbished, ready to go on the game. All right, starting to put the game back together now. So on the back side, we got the nylon protectors, new power cord, new legs, levelers, you know, blah, blah, blah. So here's the cab with the playfield out. We're going to be working on refreshing the inside of this. So let's get to work on that, and then I'll give you a heads up when I get something done on it. We have the interior of the bottom cab sprayed black. So that's all refreshed and ready to start putting that back together inside. All right, so we're almost done refreshing the inside here. Got everything's been taken off, clean, polished. All the wood's been refreshed. Sidewalls painted. Lock bar mat taken off, clean, polished. I'm now working on the coin door, so starting to tear it apart, and we'll get it tore apart and start refurbishing it. Then I'll catch back up with you. And we now have the coin door completely tore down. So we'll start here and start putting it back together as we refurbish the parts. Biggest thing is I got to see if I can get that bow out of it where somebody put a knee to it or kicked it in. So we'll start working on that first. We have the coin door parts all refurbished, just about done with them, and we'll be ready to start putting that coin door back together here soon. So just got a little bit more work to do on some of the stuff, but it's almost ready. So it's going to look good when it's put back together. And I'm just working on a speaker upgrade. So get a better speaker in the bottom cap. Okay, I am now installing the coin door, or putting it back together. So there's a lot of pieces that go in this thing, and it'll take a little while, but once I get it together, we'll install it and I'll show you the final result. All right, so now the coin door is done. It's assembled and we're ready to put it in the game. So everything cleaned up real nice. All right, so the next video, it should be installed into the game, and I'll show you what the front looks like. All right, and we now have the playfield on the rack. So we're gonna start refurbishing this. And this is the final stage to finish the game. Started the playfield tear down, so we got the first phase done. Gonna keep on working on this and get the rest of it off the top side here. So when I get a little more done, I'll catch back up with you. The ball trough coil, if you look at the plunger link, it's broken, and they have a wire connected to it. So that link right there is broken. We'll have to put a new link on there. Okay, and here's stage 2 of taking parts off the playfield. Still got a ways to go, but a lot of little pieces to come off. All right, so we just got done getting everything off the playfield. So we have a flat top now, and we can start cleaning and get this mylar off, which is, it covers a lot of the playfield, so that's why this playfield was in such good condition. So hopefully we can get that off without damaging any art. So we'll move on to that next, and I'll catch up with you when I have an update. All right, we are now working on the mylar. Let's see if we can get it off. Okay, we have it off. Okay, so the Mylar's off, and we're just getting started really, because the hard part's getting the glue off. But this is what I was hoping for. Underneath, you have this beautiful playfield. Once that glue's off, what I'll do is do some minor touch-ups, and then we'll seal it with a clear coat. The colors are really nice and vibrant underneath. It's rare that you get an original playfield that isn't blown out on this game. All right, so we got the glue off. These old playfields, they don't have a clear coat on them that's any good, so there is some paint that was flaking underneath. I'll have to do some touch-ups, but it's going to be a nice playfield when it's done, so that's enough for one day. The shooter lane isn't too bad on this, but you can see the wood is kind of rough, so it's got playfield wax and everything embedded into it, so we're going to have to do some work on that and freshen it up. Okay, the next thing we're going to work on is the wood in the ball shooter lane. We have a little bit of wear here and some fugly ball shooter guide, and then also remove the Mylar around the pop bumpers. And we have everything ready to start the work on this playfield. The Mylar's off the pop bumpers, star rollovers are removed, kick out holes, everything's off. It's completely flat and ready to start working. Like I said, I'm going to start the wood tones here on the ball, kick out and shooter lanes. Then we got some touch-ups here and there, you know, your normal wear and tear stuff. So let's do a little work, and I'll bring you back up to date when I start working on this shooter lane. So we did some work on the kick out and the ball shooter lane, freshened that up, and we got a seal coat on it so we can lock everything in without worrying about flaking. And we'll start working on some touch-ups, and I'll do a little more and I'll bring you back up to date later. All right, starting with the first color, so we're doing the reds, and we'll finish this, unmask it, and then start another color. And the reds are sprayed, so it looks a lot better. I'll start working on some other colors. Got some ball trail in the yellow here and white, so work on that. Of course, there's a lot of black that needs touched up. And we got a spot up here at the pop bumper. That's gonna be a little more tricky. It's got death ring in it. But we'll just keep taking it one little baby step at a time. All right, we're back. The first thing we had to do was fix the divot. Can't just touch it up because it'll have a crater, so that's been repaired. We'll let that cure and then sand it down a little bit, and then we can start the touch-ups. All right, we have it masked off and we're getting ready to airbrush that repair, so let me spray that and be right back. Okay, and that repair is done. So now we're moving on to something else, probably the black. And we're back on the pop bumper. We're gonna do the white trim around there now. There was a little bit of damage in that, so we're gonna fix that and then move on to the next thing. And we have the white sprayed. So now we're gonna unmask this and move on to the next color. All right, so now we're gonna work on this section here, the section of yellow and white. It's got some ball trail in it from the lane guides coming down to the flipper, so let's work on that. It's got a little crazing in it too. Let's work on that section now. And we have the all returned sprayed. We have the yellow done and now the white. So I'll unmask this and show you the final product, final result here in a second. And here we have it unmasked. So we got that finished, and we're going to move on to the black up in this area up here. Not worried about the inserts right now, the black rings on those, because I want to get the majority of the wear done before I start that. And we've now moved on to the black touch-ups. So we're airbrushing those on, and we still have the stars to put on top of that. So it's got like a scholastic Milky Way type of effect on top of the blacks. We'll do that next. And then the airbrushing phase is probably about done on this now. It's just a lot of fine-tuning, little imperfections, and then we can start to do the inserts, the borders on the inserts, and start thinking about the clear coat. Okay, we have the Milky Way, the stars added. So let's unmask this and get ready to move on to the next phase. All right, so the black and then the stars are done. So there's it's still wet right now, that's why there's a gloss to it, but I'm gonna be moving on to all the small little touch-ups. And then we're probably 3/4 of the way done with this, if that. Still have all the inserts to do. The rings are all cracking. I've even had Under-playfields, that new old stock, that have never been installed, but the inserts always crack and then show the white through. So even like a new old stock playfield, you're gonna have to do this kind of work to it. All right, well, we made some huge ground on the playfield today. The touch-ups are nearly complete. Still have quite a bit to do, but nothing like there was before. So let's get this finished, touched up, and then we'll start the clear coat process. Okay, touch-ups are complete, and we are ready to start clear coating. If you've ever done one of these, be prepared. This is a process. And we're starting the clear coat process. So we got a coat on it here, so we're gonna let that dry or set up, and then we'll continue on. And we're back on the playfield. Another round of sanding. Get ready to apply another coat of clear coat. So let me spray that and I'll be back. And we have another round of sanding. So it's smoothing out really nice. We're gonna wash this down and put another coat of clear on it, and hopefully that'll be it, but we'll see how it looks after that. Getting ready for the next round of clear coat, so we're gonna tack it off and get ready to spray. Okay, I'm hoping this is going to be the last round of clear coating, so let's get this sprayed, and then We'll let it flash, and then we'll do the buffing, and it should be done. All right, we're done with the last round of clear coat. We'll let this flash and cure, and then we can do the final buffing on it, and it'll be done. So, all right, we're now working on doing some buffing. Get some of the nibs out. Okay, and here we are at buffing stage 2. Okay, in stage 3. All right, I just finished the buffing, so the playfield, other than the star rollovers that we got to install here and there, is done and ready to be put back together. But let's work on them rollovers and get that done so we can start putting this thing back together. Came out really nice. Buffing's never a fun stage. It's kind of tedious, but it's what makes it look the best. Gets all the dirt nibs out and whatnot, so it looks great. All right, now working on putting new rollover switches in. So I got the holes cleaned out, and we're going to put the new rollover switches in. Got one there and one over there. So it's a little touch and go here, especially with the new clear coat. So taking our time here, and we're going to get them installed, and I'll be back when they're done. I now have the star rollovers installed. Here's a better shot of the actuators. And we now have the star rollovers finished. I'm starting to put some parts on the playfield now. I got the front brackets on, but I'm starting to work on this ball trough coil. It's got that broken plunger link, and somebody put a copper wire on it to fix it. So we're going to take this apart, clean it real good, and then put a new part in there and get it installed. I'll be back when we get it fixed. So I'm getting ready to take this apart, and I noticed also there's a broken diode on the coil. So it's going to have to be replaced also. We now have it taken apart, so there's a broken plunger and link that's going to be replaced. So let's get this cleaned up and see if we can get it repaired. So if you have this game, you need to replace this. There's actually two links, plunger links on this, because they're real thin. So order a bunch of them. All right, let's get those installed. All right, so here we got the old parts removed and the brand new ones installed. So let's continue on. And we're ready to install the ball trough coil. Got the new plunger link, replace the diode, so we're ready to go. Let's get this installed. All right, the ball trough coil is installed now. So we can move on to the next part. I have the playfield in the cabinet now, so this is kind of cool. And it opens up a lot of room in the shop, because I had the playfield cart here and then the cart for the back box. So that's a lot of space that I'm gaining in the shop to work on some other stuff, because I probably got 3 or 4 machines going at one time here. So this is a good day. I'm gonna get it lowered and get the playfield glass in it. All right, here it is lowered. Boy, I tell you, that thing looks pretty in there. Get them top rails on. The cabinet turned out really nice. This is a fun stage to be at. It's a lot of work to get here, and that thing looks really sweet in there. All right, let me, I'm pretty sure I have one more piece of brand new playfield glass. Let me go dig that out and get that in there. And here we have the new playfield glass. We're getting ready to put that in, so let me install that and we'll be right back. And the glass is installed, so now everything's protected. It's inside the cabinet, and I'll cover this in a blanket also. It's come together. I'm gonna wait, probably install the top rails tomorrow in the lock bar, and then the flipper buttons and that kind of small little stuff. There's some grounding braid wire that goes inside, you know, for the carriage bolts on the side rails and whatnot. And then we're back on track to get on the electronic boards inside the game in the back box. So this will be working on the inside of this next. So I know I probably have a clip of a video saying I was going to be on that next before, but I just couldn't take the cab anymore and had to redo that. So we got the locks that go in the back box, carriage bolts, all that stuff. So we're rounding the final turn on this one. Hopefully, anyway. Hopefully there's no surprises with all the boards, you know, because it was, from what I understand, from what I saw anyway, it was a fully working game when I started this. But there she is for now. I just finished installing the top rails, so they're now installed back on the game. And I also cleaned the light board, cleaned the displays, and finished installing the coin taker LED kit. And first impression is I came up short bulbs. The red down here for the back box ended up 3 red bulbs short. Luckily I had some in my stock. I had 1 orange left over and 1 premium frosted left over. So I had an orange and a premium frosted left over, and I was 3 red short. You know, when you're spending that kind of money on a kit, you'd think they'd get it right, at least give you an extra one, but whatever. All right, so now we're gonna move into, we have the back glass. We got brand new trim for this, so we're gonna be doing the back glass trim and cleaning that, getting that ready to install. I'm now working on all the hinges and brackets for the light board, cleaning those all up. So I got the light board removed, just propped up for now, and then once I get those refurbished, I'll put it back together and start the very inside of the back box. I have all the brackets from the back box refurbished and ready to go back together. We got all the hinges, back box bolts, transformer cage, lock bar for the back glass. Just every piece of metal is taken out and refurbished. So let's get this put back together. All right, I got the light board put back in. All the metals are restored. So all the hinges. Everything you saw on the table. So now I just have to, I've got a couple carriage bolts to put in. There's 2 there and 1 for this rod and the lock. That's kind of a real pain to get that lock to line up and work correctly, but that's what we're going to work on next. So I have all the small little imperfections. There's like real small pinholes in a couple places. Not much at all. But see if I can do it one-handed here. This glass is near mint. I mean, it is beautiful, and it's an original. I am now cleaning the back glass, and I have a brand new trim package to put on. So let's get that installed, and then this will be ready to be put in the cabinet. Okay, she's cleaned and new trim put on. Looks really good. The other trim wasn't bad, but had some dings in it, so new stuff looks better. This is a beautiful back glass. It's an original one. I think the reproductions, there's something different about them. The colors are a little bit off or something. And the finished glass installed. I have a blanket on it now, so you can't really see the whole game, but looks good to have that glass in there. I'm now working on the kickback coil. Everything's getting cleaned and it's in pretty good shape. But you know, you always replace the coil sleeve with a brand new one. So we're gonna clean it up, put a new sleeve in it, and this one should be good to go. Okay, got a couple more pieces on, so got the kickback on, refurbished and installed, and part of the ball trough here, so I'm gonna keep going. This is about gonna do it for today, but I got a lot more parts put on. Making some headway, so still a long ways to go, but starting to look like something. So tomorrow I'll get back on it and see if I can get the first table of parts installed, and then it'll be on to the plastics and all the fun stuff, the rubbers and all that. So I'll catch back up when I get more done. Now we have the pop bumper bodies installed in the playfield. Now the fun part starts. I gotta flip this over and fish all the wires for the GI lighting that goes in between, in the center there. Gotta get those connected. It's real tight and it's just kind of a hassle, but I wanted to get these done first before I do anything with the rest of the table, because this is the hardest part for this table, for table number 1. So let's flip it over, get everything soldered, and then we can start worrying about putting the bulbs and the caps in. I now have the wiring for the pop bumper lighting soldered together. It's all finished. You can see there's like a rubber tubing that covers the wire so it doesn't short out against the pop bumper bracket. So now we're moving on to the pop bumper rings. So let me show you what's going on there. Process of cleaning up the pop bumper rings. I am missing 2 of the washers. These go up here, and they give support for the yoke, and one of the yokes is broken. So I'm gonna have to source that. So let me look in my parts boxes to see what I got. All right, just going through my parts, and I found the washers and the yoke. I also have the fiber ones, because that may be broken in there also. So let me get it ripped apart and see what we have. So let's get this finished so we can move on to something different. All right, started to put the pop bumper rings on. I got that one on. Started this one and I found out that the yoke is broken on that one too. So now we got 2 broken yokes. All right, so let me put a new yoke on that. So the whole coil assembly has to be taken apart to replace that. I got a couple broken ones. There's the new one. And of course it gets new coil sleeves, so this old one, that'll get tossed. All right, let's keep at it. All right, so the pop bumpers are all put together except for the GI lighting in the sockets and the pop bumper caps on top. That was a lot of work right there. That's hours of work just rebuilding those and getting them in there. So, all right, we're moving on to the next thing. I'm gonna call it quits here for today. We got a lot of parts on. Pop bumpers took a lot of time. Then we got all the plastic star post in and the lane guides. So tomorrow we'll start putting the steel post in, and we can start working on probably plastics after that, or the rubbers after that, then the plastics. But it's starting to look good. All right, so we're gonna work on this spinner here, see if we can get that looking a little better, and that way, because I'm gonna touch up some paint on it, and it's in a pretty good original shape. So let me touch it up, and then we'll let that dry while we're working on the rest of this stuff here. We're almost done with this table here. I now have the spinner touch-ups done. So now just gonna seal it with a coat of clear, and that'll be done. So let me get that sprayed. All right, so we got the first coat on there. I'll put another coat or two on there, and then that'll be done. Next up on the table, we have this ball gate. I was getting ready to put it on, but it looks like somebody made their own gate out of just regular household wire. So that looks like mild steel to me. So let me get this cleaned up, and I'm going to put a new stainless steel gate on there. All right, so that's done. There's the old gate, there's the new one. So let's get that installed. Just finished all the metal post. So the first table of parts is back on the playfield. So we have numerous metal posts. You got one there, a couple there, there, here. Also got the gates in, the ball gates, and all the switches. All the switch actuators are clean, polished, and put in. So now I can start putting the rubber kit on and get ready for table number 2, which is the plastics. So next time you probably talk to me, we'll be showing you the rubber kit installed. So that's what we're going to move on to next. And here we have the rubbers installed. We'll be moving on to the stand-up targets and the under-playfield switches next. So the hard part's done here. Even though I get the top side done, there's still a lot to do underneath. I got to rebuild the flippers and all the coil mechanisms and whatnot. So we're making some good progress though. I'm now working on the slingshots, so we're getting those refurbished. All new flipper or coil plungers and plunger links and coil sleeves. So these things should pop when they're done. All right, I got the pop bumper, or not the pop bumpers, the slingshots rebuilt. All new parts. So moving on to the switches that go beside it that activate them. So they're here. So let me work on those, and we'll get them on, and I'll be back. I just finished the slingshots. I got the kickers in, and this slingshot switches. So that's all been refurbished. All right, Probably moving on to the flippers now, get those installed. All right, we're in the process of rebuilding the flippers. Got a bunch of new parts, so we're gonna put that together and get it back in the game. All right, we're back at it here. I have the flipper mechanisms all rebuilt. I just have to flip this over and put the flipper paddles on, so let's do that next. Just finished installing the flipper bats. I'll do the final adjustment, angle adjustment on those when I get everything installed on the playfield and get them tightened down. All right, let's move on to the next thing. So this is about what's going to do it for today. I got the targets installed, and also all the playfield switches. They're just behind all the rubbers, so just about done with the bottom side, and then we'll get back on the top side here and get the plastics installed. Done with all the target switches. The switches behind the rubbers are all installed and adjusted. The main stand-up targets are installed in the rebound rubber. The deadening rubber is behind all the targets. So there's lots of switches in behind all these rubbers. And they're all cleaned and polished. All right, so now we're moving on to the ball arch. I have that, I just cleaned it. We're gonna do a little bit of touch up on that, and then probably put a coat of clear coat on it just to preserve it. Let me work on that and I'll be right back. Here's the ball arch. It's cleaned up. We're getting ready to scuff it and get ready for the touch-ups. It's got some wear here where the ball drains are. So that's going to be repaired. And there's also a few small scratches that we're going to try to touch up and diminish away. So let me get started on, we'll get this sanded down and get that sprayed black, and then get the touch-ups, and then we'll throw a coat of clear on here, and then we can put the instruction cards on and get it installed in the game. And now I have it sanded. I'm getting ready to start the touch-ups. So we got the whole thing scuffed, and can do the touch-ups and then the clear coat. So let's keep moving. Okay, I have the touch-ups done and the black sprayed, so everything's airbrushed on. Let's let this flash, and then we'll start the clear coat. And here it is, unmasked and ready for clear coat. Everything's scuffed, touched up, airbrushed on. So just let it cure a little while longer, then we'll put a coat of clear on there. Also doing the ball shooter gauge at the same time, doing the touch-ups on that. It's finished, ready for the clear coat, and that way they'll both match. Just letting it cure, flash off, and then we'll start the clear coat. Did a little more touch-up on the ball shooter gauge, so that's airbrushed on. Let's get it unmasked, and I'll show you what it looks like now, and then we'll get ready for clear coat again. All right, now we're ready for clear coat, so we'll let this flash, then I'll show you the clear coat. Okay, we now have it sprayed. Looks a little shiny now, but that's a satin clear, so that'll tone down like the original was. Here we have the ball arch and the shooter gauge dry. This is the next day. They come out really nice. The sheen on them is perfect. I don't know if you can see that, but So we're ready to install these and then do the instruction cards. And here we have the ball arch and the shooter gauge finished. Get the instruction cards laminated and installed. So it's ready to go back on the playfield, so we'll be doing that next. All right, got a couple more parts put on. We have the shooter gauge on, the ball arch installed, and the lane guides installed. Now we're moving on to the plastics for the slingshots. They're all in good shape. Like, there's really no broken plastics in this machine, so they're all usable. But what we do have, I don't know if it'll show up in video, but they need flattened from the heat from the light bulbs over time. They got like a little bow in them, so we need to flatten those out. So let me work on that now. Putting the slingshots on, plastics on, and just putting a little protective washer underneath it, just to give it a little protection, because that's usually where they break, right there. I have the top side finished. So the ball arch, shooter gauge, lane guides, plastics, all installed. Jet bumper caps, LED bulbs in those. Have to flip it over and finish the bottom side. The kick-out holes, I don't have the plates in those, and I got to rebuild the mechs for those. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to be flipping this over and finish the mechanisms I haven't done yet, and then do the LEDs and all the inserts, clean the inserts and put the LEDs in. So that's what we're going to be doing next. Just about done with the bottom side. I just went over all the mechanisms. So each and every one of them has been torn down, rebuilt. So the only thing left to do now is to clean all the inserts, all the light inserts, and put in the LEDs. So that's what we're moving on to now. And then this will be completely done. The playfield will be completely done. So that'll be what I'll be showing you next. I now have the Coin Takers LED kit installed. Everything on the playfield, that is, still have the back box to do. So everything's checked off. It's all installed. Got the wiring harness cleaned. So we are completely done now with the playfield, and we can move on to redoing the boards and the LED kit in the back box. We're getting close on this one. Now it's time to start the board work. So we'll be going over all the boards in the back box. So we're going to take them all out and rebuild them and try to bulletproof this thing. So I'll catch up when I get a little bit more done. The plastic protectors showed up in the mail, so let's get these installed now. All right, here we have them unmasked and set in place. The washers I had on there before, they do okay, but they don't protect the whole plastic, so these are definitely a better way to go. Haven't used this brand before, so let's get the plastics on them and see how well they do. It really should be like a 1/16 of an inch overlap from the protector to the plastic, you know, so it hits the protector first. Let's see what we got here. Yeah, these are cut exactly the same, so I don't know how well they're going to do. Really should stick out a little bit past the plastic. I guess they'll help, but you can see they're really just exactly the same size, so the ball can still hit that plastic on top. Really what you want is for them to stick out just a little bit to where the ball hits the protector first. But that's better than not having them at all. So, and also you don't want to tighten those nuts down all the way. You want the plastics to float just a little bit loose, so if the ball does hit it, there's some give to it. All right, they're now installed. They're barely noticeable, so definitely an upgrade if you're doing your game. And like I say, when you put your nuts back on, your acorn nuts, don't tighten them all the way. You want just a little bit of play, so if the ball does hit it, there's some give. Now, what I do is I put Loctite on them nuts, so you can finger tighten them and they won't come off because they're Loctited. Right now I'm working on the power supply, putting in a new solenoid power connector. So I got the male part on the board, working on the connector now in the back box for the female side. So got that almost done, so we'll finish that up. Okay, we're well on our way here to rebuilding the power supply. I got it almost done. I got some small things to do yet, but it's almost done. Okay, so the solenoid power connector is finished. There's the old displacement connector. Those things are junk anyways. So let's move on to the next thing. And the power supply is finished and installed in the game. Well, I say finished. It's finished for now. I'm waiting for two small components, a couple diodes to come in and replace those, but everything else is done. So it's got new connectors, header pins connectors, tri-ferricon connectors inside the housing. So that one's good to go. We're gonna move up here to the soundboard. All right, here we go. We got the soundboard on the bench, and let's start bulletproofing this one. I now have the driver board on the table, so first thing we'll be doing, that 40 pin connector, always replace that, so that's going to be replaced. Then we'll check the other components. This game was working before I started working on it, so I don't think we're going to find anything that needs to be done too much. So let me get on that 40 pin connector. Okay, let's get this 40 pin female side of the connector off. There's 5 of these that need to come off. Okay, so we can start putting in the new connectors. All right, now I have the other half of that 2 board set up. So we got the MPU on the bench. So these 40 pins for the interconnector get replaced. This power connector get replaced. I'll do replace the batteries and just go over everything. So let's get working on this one. Okay, we got the male side of the 40 pin connector off, and we have the brand new ones getting ready to go on. So let's get those installed. Now we're going to work on getting rid of this battery pack. They're prone to leak and damage boards, so people always forget to change the battery. So that's what they leave them in too long, then they leak. So let's get them off the board and make it a little safer. I now have the battery pack removed and replaced it with a coin cell battery. So we're good to go there. And now I'm replacing the lamp line voltage filter cap. So you see how big it is. And then in the machine, you know, the new ones, same value but a lot smaller. I'm just waiting for the bracket to hold mounted in there because it's a lot smaller. I need a smaller bracket, so I'm waiting for that to come in. So I now have all the boards reinstalled into the game. So the driver board and MPU are back in the game. I got a couple little things to do here before I can do the first coin up. I got to work on these bridge rectifiers over here, and I'm still waiting for this bracket for that filter cap. That should be here today, but these turned out really nice. Just got done adding a fuse block to these rectifiers. These two rectifiers, one's for the lamp matrix and the other one's for the solenoids. And they're not fused, so if either one of those shorts out or the lamp filter cap here shorts out and the main fuse doesn't handle it, it could start a fire. So just a little insurance here to add these fuses to those rectifiers. Got to thank Jim Paulson from JT Amusements for reminding me of this one. I kind of overlooked it, and he brought it to my attention, so thanks, Jim. All right, the boards are pretty much done in the back box. Just waiting for 2 diodes to come for right there on the power supply. I got the filter cap in for the GI lighting. Everything's been worked on. New connectors where needed. Coin cell battery connectors, 40-pin connector. So she's pretty much ready to finish connecting the wiring harness. I got to feed it up from the bottom cab, and then we're pretty much ready to coin it up for the first time. Fingers crossed. All right, so we got the parts today to finish the game. I got a couple connectors and a couple diodes to repair on the power supply, and then we're going to do the first coin up. So let's get these installed. All right, this is the last of the electronic repairs, hopefully anyway, till I coin it up. I got components in, so we got the PCB connectors, brand new ones on the power supply, and upgraded the diodes. So this is ready, this is finished, ready to go back in the game. Now I do have to go to the connectors for these Molex connectors here. I have to go to the female side, or the wire side, and put new connectors on those wires. If you're going to do one half, you got to do the other, at least as far as I'm concerned. So let's go do that right now. And here's the old ones that came out. You can see they're kind of burnt. So anytime you see a tarnish on the metal like that, it's not making good contact. And here we have the finished connectors on the power supply. So the 6 and the 12 Molex PCBs are, the male and female both are replaced. So we're ready to go, ready for the coin up. I'm now getting ready to feed these wires up through and connect the back box to the bottom cab. Getting close to doing the first coin up, so it's gonna be a nervous time when you coin this up for the first time. Hope everything works, but fingers crossed. Okay, just did the first coin up, and of course it came up in audit mode. I didn't record it, so I just got it out of audit mode. and everything's looking pretty good. So I don't have any balls in it, and can't tell if it's showing a credit or not. So let me put some balls in it and see what we have. Just a quick video with the glass off. And all the LEDs installed and working, and do some gameplay here in a minute. Just afraid with the glass on you wouldn't see how nice that playfield looks. I should have had the back glass on. You can see the GI lighting's kind of messing things up. And again, back with a short video. Got the glass on, the back glass is in. Pretty stunning, gorgeous. Five, 4,